Hi, friends, it's Kate. And I have to say, sometimes the struggle is real. Doing the art on my videos is not half as hard as post processing. And I just got done with the whole voiceover and realized it was my laptop microphone because it sounded terrible. But I am very happy to be with you today to do another mini art journal spread. And fall is in the air. So here I am. I'm going to do a little bit of an autumn theme page spread today. So I'm working in a little sketchbook, and the pages on it are kind of thin. So I usually like to go in with a quick layer of gesso just to give it a little extra something to grab onto and thicken the page a little bit. But I have to confess, I couldn't resist waiting, so I went ahead and started painting over it before it actually dried. So sometimes my attempts to protect the page are for naught. And so I'm using Liquitex Gesso, which I really like. And also, here in a second, remember I forgot to put in my little sheets to protect the other pages, so I'm going to do that now. And on the left there, that is actually just some leftover watercolor paint that I was blotting off to the side. And I never know what I'm going to put on the page, but it it definitely helps not to be staring at a white page to start with, even though I'm kind of turning it white right now, contradicting myself. So today I'm going to be working with acrylic paints and stencils. And I have these Creative Inspirations paints that I got from Jerry's Artorama online. They're 4-ounce tubes and they're very reasonable. I think a couple of dollars a tube. And they act a lot like the Liquitex Basics. They have similar coverage, similar consistency, and I like both of the paints. I've used some different sort of store brand type paints, and I really like these ones from Jerry's. So I'm working with 5 different colors today, including cad orange, crimson, lemon yellow, burnt umber, and sky blue. And I'll also be using some Liquitex titanium white. So for the background on this page, I definitely went on the cooler side with the sky blue and lemon yellow. And it's also mixing a little bit with that gesso underneath, which I kind of like actually. It gives it a little bit more texture in the background. So as I've been journaling more over the past, I don't know how long, maybe a couple of years sporadically, but definitely more often recently, I have noticed definite improvement in kind of just being aware of what might work, what might not work. Sometimes you sit down and you try something new and it kind of turns out to be a mess, but it's always like a learning experience. And art is messy, almost always. And it's one of the things I really like about it is you just never really know what to expect. But as you get more experience, you maybe do know a little bit what to expect. And I kind of like that as time goes by, there's fewer things that are quite so much of a surprise, and you get a feel for the paints that you're using and the things that you like to do. Even knowing things like the lemon yellow paint that I like from Creative Inspirations is a very transparent color. So I just know that if I want it to be more opaque, I have to add something else to it, like titanium white. And it's just those little things that you pick up along the way when you practice. And it gives me a little bit more confidence too when I'm reaching for something. So, even more than just having a creative outlet or getting practice, it really helps you to be more naturally intuitive. I mean, the process of art journaling in general. And it's just a place where you can be free to try things and experiment and learn your style and what you really like and learn techniques and the products that you like. I've learned that I have a hard time finding a good stencil brush. I need to just get an actual stencil brush. I got a fluffy brush and it started shedding almost right away. It was just that one that I used for the white. I think there was a time when I think I paused the video and I don't know, I had to pick off like brush fibers from the page. So I went back to my regular old brush and it did the trick. One of my favorite things about journaling is trying to make different things. And, you know, I like to shop for supplies. I like to buy things to try. And sometimes it's a little bit, there's so much to buy. I don't think there would ever be an end. And, you know, it's really supposed to be to enjoy what you have and, create things. And so, instead of running out and spending money every day, I try, or I really enjoy trying to make things on my own that I can use. And that's why a lot of the things that you might find on my channel are about making a collage paper or making something. I enjoy that part almost as much as, using something that's made already. The stencils I really enjoy, and it gives me an ability to do something kind of fast too. But there's also, you can paint basic shapes, you can paint leaves. I seem to have a love affair with leaves because I've noticed in almost all of my recordings, I've got some leaf motif or other that I'm doing. So this one, I'm doing some autumn leaves, and what do you know? It's more leaves. But if loving leaves is wrong, I don't want to be right. So I'm going into the background here with just some brown. I had mixed up a bit of a watered down brown and lemon yellow, the burnt umber and the lemon yellow, and it did some splashes on the page. And so I'm going to go in with the stencil and just have the brown leaf backgrounds. I was going to put another leaf on the left and then I decided against it. So I'm just putting in my other leaves on the right side now for the other half of my journal spread. But I wanted to have the dark background as kind of a starting point to add some more color on top. And it's got a good amount of contrast and has that earthy color I'm looking for. So I have this cool colored background with the sky blue and the lemon yellow. And so with the fall leaves, I really want to add that bit of warmth that you get in autumn with everything turning such beautiful colors. And so I have the brown background, but I'll be going back over it with some brights, like the oranges and the red and some more yellow. And I'd love to hear from you on your preferences. I always would love to get feedback if there's things that you would like to see, or if you have any questions or requests, or if you see something I'm doing that maybe you have a better suggestion or something I can try. I'm always looking for feedback. And it seems like I always sit down to do these 5 and 10 minute projects, like a quick journal. I mean, I'm doing a mini journal, it's a small page, but yet when I finally got up from my table, over half an hour had gone by. And that's not even including drying time for when I finish up the layer before I put on my sentiment at the end. And I just don't know how. I just can't seem to do a quick project. I don't know if any of you ever experienced that, where you sit down to do something for 5 minutes and then, 30 minutes later you look and wonder where all the time went. Not that I mean, I guess that means it's fun. I just hope that my videos aren't so long that nobody actually wants to watch them. So if there's, I did speed this up a bit to get it a little bit shorter, but I don't know what you like. If you prefer, to have the full length, I can do that too. Or if you want it sped up more, I can also do that. I didn't actually take out any material, so you can still follow along all the steps. So as you can see right here, I'm just mixing some of that crimson and cad orange and some of the burnt umber and yellow. And I'm going to be going in back over these leaves where the brown is and just adding in some different colors, some color variation in here to really bring out that fall color. When you look at leaves on the trees, they always have so many beautiful colors, and I want to try to capture that here in a more basic way. I really like, just really folky kind of style, and that that always appeals to me. So I tend to go for that and not really so much the realism, but just representational of that and the bright colors that you see in the fall. And one thing I think that, I kind of took to pretty quickly was a lot of color mixing. I've, I know a lot of people find it intimidating, and I just kind of always jump right in. I'll just mix everything right there on my palette and just kind of go to town. And you can get some pretty beautiful neutrals. I'm keeping it a pretty basic palette, but there were some paintings I did a while back, and I just had maybe 2 or 3 colors, but just working on, mixing and trying to get the color that I want and getting some variation. It's really fun mixing color and just relaxing. And I had kind of considered doing a video on that, just experimenting. Usually mine is just sort of by feel, but I always thought that it might be fun to do kind of a color chart or something like that where I can have a quick reference. One of the things that I really have fun with is if I sit down and grab 3 primaries or close to primaries and just mix those up and see what I can make with it. And so I've been pretty excited about mixing color in different areas. Watercolor for me is a lot more challenging to mix than acrylics, just because watercolor behaves so differently. But the nice thing about acrylic is you can kind of see exactly what it'll look like right there on the palette, and you can always add or take away. And, one of the nice things about acrylic is you can add white. So if you're too dark, it's always easy to lighten it up, unlike watercolor. But I do like using some gouache with watercolor. That's pretty fun too, especially if you want to add white highlights later. So on the right side of the page, I've mixed up some more of the yellow and orange with some titanium white, and I'm going over the leaves on that side. And I really like how this is turning out. I love the colors, and it actually makes me start thinking of greeting cards. So I was thinking to myself as I was doing this, boy, this wouldn't be bad on a card if I wanted to redo the design on something. And you could put a different sentiment on there, like thinking of you or thank you or happy holidays or something like that. I can't wait for Christmas coming up around the corner too. 2 Christmases ago in 2021 was the first year, and actually maybe the only year. I don't think I did it last year, but it's the first year I hand painted Christmas cards for all of my family and friends, and it went over pretty well. And it was a lot of fun to make them too. I was just sitting at my table pumping them out, and I made really basic watercolor Christmas trees, but it was so much fun, and it just really gets you into the holiday spirit too. So I was thinking of cards that I could make just with all the holidays coming up. It's so exciting. I love this time of year. It's colorful and I don't know. It's my favorite. So I'm going through here with just some of that plain cad orange to brighten that up. And I'll go in there a little bit with the crimson too. And you'll see as we start heading on to the finish line, I keep finding just that little extra I want to add. So, but I think the final result turned out really nice. And I hope you like it too. Something I always thought might be fun to get into would be a little bit of paper craft. And I go down the scrapbooking aisles at the store, and there's just so many beautiful papers and patterns and backgrounds. And I always think it might be fun to try to make greeting cards again. And I've had a few ideas floating around in my head that might be fun to make, and I could make videos on them too. So if you're interested, let me know, and maybe we can do some projects together. So speaking of making things, I did make my own sentiment for this journal page. It's just nice to be able to make your own custom thing. So I just opened up a document, typed what I wanted to say, and printed it in a font that I chose. And I'll just attach that with my glue stick to some construction paper that I have, which actually I got from the Dollar Tree. They have these paper packs and they're really nice. They have patterns and textures and all kinds of different papers in these packs. And some of them are kind of the more plain construction paper type stuff that you might get in a kid's pack, kind of like this is here, but it works great for projects like this and art journaling. And I'm not being careful with how I cut the sentiments or anything like that. And I think Seasons Change was pretty fitting for fall coming up right around the corner. So I'm just kind of figuring out where I want it to go. I've got my glue stick on the back, and I'll be attaching those to my pages. But that's not all, folks. No, I can't be done. You can't be done when there's splashes to add and white to add for highlights. I was sitting and taking a look at it as I finished up with the sentiments, and I just wanted a little bit more to tie everything together. And I also was looking at it, and I didn't really have a whole lot of really light values. I have the white with the seasons change sentiment, but I wanted to add a little bit more. I have a lot of sort of mid tones and um, not too many high values. So I'm first doing some splashes with my crimson and the cat orange. And I think that helps tie in the sentiments a little bit too. So then I'm going to go in with just a little bit of white on the edge of my brush and I'm going to add just a few highlights to those leaves. and I think it really helped bring it all together. And I really, really enjoyed doing this project, and I like how it turned out. It just took a lot longer than I thought it would, but I enjoyed every minute, every one of those endless minutes. I really hope I'm not driving away traffic with my long videos. I don't want to bore people. I want to entertain them. So I'm just going in with my last few marks, and I think we're going to call this good. And I hope that you enjoyed joining me today on this project. It was so much fun, and I hope that until the next video, you keep creating too. And I hope to see you soon.